And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Welcome to The Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast.
Flippity-jibbity nonsense.
I thought it was terrific.
It's not just big, it's yeah.
Let's go.
Welcome and thanks for listening and watching the Politics, Prepping, and Paranormal Podcast. I'm Jeff Morey and I'm your host. This has been a terrible, somber week for our country. In addition to the brutal murder of an innocent Ukrainian girl on a subway in Charlotte, North Carolina, we lost an American treasure. On Wednesday, September 10th, at around 12:20 p.m. Mountain Time, while speaking to a crowd at an event at Utah Valley University, Turning Point USA founder, conservative activist, media personality, and American icon Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck and killed in what could be called nothing less than a political assassination. As of the airing of this show, the suspected killer, 22-year-old Utah resident Tyler Robinson, has been arrested and is currently being held without bail in a Utah jail. There are a lot of things about this whole situation that still don't add up to me, but now is neither the time nor the place to talk about them. Now we need to mourn and remember the victim in all this, and more importantly, his family, Charlie's wife Erica and his two children. I myself have never had the pleasure of meeting Charlie Kirk, and unfortunately now I never will. Charlie, for me, was a dream podcast interview, one of those people that I only dreamed of having on as a guest, all the while knowing deep down that if I ever did get big enough to have him, that I'd be terrified at the prospect of having to talk to him and even attempt to match wits and create engaging conversation with him, knowing that I could only dream of being a fraction as intelligent and interesting as he is. I've always admired and respected Charlie, and I think he was one of the most fascinating and polarizing minds, as well as arguably the most analytical and incredible debaters I've ever heard. I actually had another show planned for this week, and I reached out to my guest to make sure she was okay with me postponing our show for 1 week, because I felt so strongly about Charlie's death and the subsequent actions from liberals and Democrats across the country. I'll get to you people in a little while, but right now I want to take some time and remember Charlie and just how important he was to our country. I'm sure by now most people that didn't follow Charlie and know who he was have probably done a little research, since I can't remember the last time there's been this much of a communal sorrow for one person since maybe the assassination of John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. But I still want to take a few minutes to reflect on his life, contributions, and impact to our country. Charlie was born and raised in the Chicago suburbs of Arlington Heights and Prospect Heights. From a young age, he actively engaged in politics in high school, supporting then Senator and former Representative Mark Kirk, who was ironically not related to Charlie's campaign. He attended Harper College for a short time before dropping out to pursue political activism full-time. And in 2012, he founded Turning Point USA. Through the successes of Turning Point USA, Charlie would later expand the organization, forming Turning Point Action, which is a grassroots political advocacy group that works directly with voters to help register people to vote Republican and elect conservative leaders. And Turning Point Faith, which empowers Christians to become politically and culturally active and connect with their faith and freedom. Charlie would go on to become one of the biggest and most influential voices in American politics, not serving in public office. And through his podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show, media and television appearances, and polarizing American Comeback Tour, in which he traveled the country making stops at prominent college campuses, actually setting up tents and debating liberal students one-on-one, face-to-face. If you've ever seen the memes that have been going around for a while now with a guy sitting at a table that bears the sign saying, "Prove me wrong," well, that's where that came from. Charlie became a TikTok sensation almost overnight, and between social media and the grassroots work of Turning Point USA, he may very well have been the catalyst that turned the tide in the favor of President Trump in the 2024 election. Trump himself even said after the election, quote, "I want to express my tremendous gratitude to Charlie Kirk. He's a really amazing guy, and his whole staff for their relentless efforts to achieve this very historic victory. It's not my victory, it's your victory. It's a great honor." Look, as much as I love Trump, you rarely hear him showering praise like that on anyone besides himself for such bold accomplishments. Trump knew damn well that between the black voters and the work of Turning Point USA, that was the difference maker in the 2024 election. Charlie has energized and brought life to Gen Z, and thank the Lord, has begun to slowly wash away decades of brainwashing, manipulation, and propaganda that's been put in place by colleges and even public school systems that, until recently, have trained our youth to believe that white people are genetically racist, human beings can choose their gender after birth, guns kill people, praying and being a proud American means that you're a bigot, and that you should never have an opinion or draw a conclusion that differs from what the federal government or mainstream media tells you. Witnessing Charlie's death and the last few days has made me really come full circle in believing that we may be closer than ever to the end times. Satan's been hard at work plaguing the minds and hearts of American citizens, not to mention people all over the world. And I've seen the very worst in people over these last few days. I'll always generally speak with respect to people that have different views and opinions than mine, but witnessing firsthand the actions of liberal Democrats over these last few days has driven me to my breaking point, and I can no longer stay silent and sit idly by as these evil people spew hatred and incite violence against our fellow man. Democrats, I urge you to step back and take a look at the world around you. Look at your media outlets, look at your influencers, and especially look at your elected officials. If any of you have even a shred of decency, and if any of you claim to believe in God and the Word of God, well, it's time to choose sides. I'll be the very first to say I am a constitutional conservative and a Christian, and I can honestly say that there are many, many times that the Republican Party has let me down and that so-called Republican officials have let me down, but by God, they're light years away from the evil I see within the Democratic Party right now. Don't believe me? That's okay. Let me at least try to pull out my very best Charlie Kirk and educate you. Have you seen some of your so-called influencers and what they've had to say over the last few days? No? Let's start with TikTok influencer at Angela's Right Official. In one of her videos the night after the assassination, she says, laughingly, "He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights," before giving an evil laugh and clearly celebrating his death. Didn't take me long to find a liberal influencer on my Blue Sky account. Yeah, I know, a lot of people say, why do you have a Blue Sky? Well, the answer to that is for situations just like this. This person's name is Aaron Reed, and this person's Blue Sky handle is aaroninthemorning.com. This person's website has the headline, "We must not posthumously sanitize Charlie Kirk's hateful life." Not making this up. I've seen countless other tweets and posts where liberals have said things such as, "I don't know, I think getting killed by your favorite thing in the world is sweet. It's a nice gesture." That person's name is Brian Walsh, by the way. And probably one of the absolute worst I have seen is this. If he doesn't make it, at least he died with the love of his life, school shootings. I could spend hours just going through tweets and posts from liberals and liberal influencers. It's sad and it's disgusting. And don't get me started on Democratic elected officials. Let's start with Minnesota State Senator Erin May Quaid. Miss Quaid has been sharing posts of people attacking Charlie after his murder, such as this one from Wajat Ali. You can condemn murder and violence without whitewashing Charlie Kirk's shameful history of hate, racism, white nationalism, and promotion of dangerous conspiracies that radicalize Trump supporters to violence. Really? I'd rather her just stay silent than promote hateful messages such as that. And that, guys, wasn't the only one she shared. How about the video from the House of Representatives where Speaker Mike Johnson asked the floor that they have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, and Lauren Boebert's motion to hold a prayer for Charlie Kirk's family? No? Well, go on YouTube and look up the clip. Democrats actually booed her motion. Lauren Boebert wasn't asking for support for Charlie Kirk or for the Republican Party. She was asking for prayers for the man's family, for God's sake. His family, his wife and 2 kids that now don't have a father. And that brings me to your mainstream media. Don't go on CNN and try to watch that clip I just told you about. Because CNN actually took the time to edit out the boos from the Democrats on the House floor. Not making that up either. And what about some of your satire sites? I saw a couple posts from the Hard Times that said, incompetent assassin misses largest head on the planet, and anti-vaxxer finally gets shot. What is wrong with you people? Have you no empathy at all? This man had a family and was just exercising his First Amendment rights. And then there's MSNBC. Anyone see that Matthew Dodd has been fired from the network after suggesting Charlie Kirk's assassination may be the work of one of his supporters? And the talking heads on the network, even following his death, had the nerve to describe him as divisive. Even my generally deep red, strong conservative state of Tennessee has disappointed me. I heard about 2 or 3 teachers at different universities that have all been either fired or put on administrative leave for tweets and comments that they've made about Charlie following his death. There was also a 911 dispatcher for the Metro Nashville area who's been placed on administrative leave following vile social media posts after Charlie's death. The list goes on and on, not just from Tennessee, but from all over the country. And this applies to any conservatives or Republicans as well. I saw one of the Cranstein brothers posted on X messages from their inbox where conservatives were threatening them and basically telling them that they hoped they were next. We are the better party and the better people, my fellow conservatives and Republicans. So act like it. This is when we show the world what strength through Christ looks like. I'm not telling you these things and talking about this to try to attack or somehow encourage any sort of retribution for Charlie's murder. I'm simply trying to bring attention to those liberal Democrats that have a heart and have common sense. Is this the party you want to represent? Do these people stand for your morals, your beliefs, your rights? There's only one word for these people: evil. Plain and simple. Their goal is to silence and, as we have now very clearly seen, kill anyone who makes an impact and has a voice for the conservative Christian way of life. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for the world in which my kids have to grow up in and for the horrors and atrocities that they may have to witness. This isn't the same country it was when I was a kid. When you could leave in the morning on your bike and go right around your neighborhood and visit with your friends, and your parents didn't have to worry about what time you come home, or even worse, if you come home safe at all. This is America in 2025, people, where you're chastised and attacked just for what you believe and the words you say. And I don't mean making death threats or verbally discussing causing physical harm to people. No, I mean your religion, your faith, your political views of the world and how it should be. We're entering a war here, people. And this war isn't us versus China or NATO versus Russia or even a war of information or technology. No, to put it plain and simple, This is a war of good versus evil, a war of Christians versus Satan. Even Elon Musk tweeted out on Wednesday night, quote, "If they won't leave us in peace, then our choice is fight or die." I pray it doesn't come to that. We can still take back our country, take back our morals, take back our values, and even take back our children and our youth, which the radical left has been indoctrinating for years to believe that their way is the only way. Obey and do as you're told. Well, one man stood up to the radical left and brought about sweeping change in our country. He openly and eloquently met with people all over the country and invited them to open their eyes and see that there is a better way. A way in which God comes first in everything, and our country is governed with strength and with grace. Charlie once said, "Freedom is not sustainable if you remove Christianity." And I think if Charlie were still here, he would agree that you don't have to be a Christian to be a good American citizen. But he pointed out that 55 of the 56 original signers of the Declaration of Independence were Christians who believed in the Word of God. And those were the principles in which our country was founded. And those same principles apply today. Charlie was trying to show us that and teach us how we can be better. Better people in a better country. And that was his dream. And unfortunately, he died for that dream. We can only hope that he didn't die in vain. Rest in peace, Charlie. You were an exceptional person and an exceptional human being. May God bless your beautiful family. A family that should never have to go through life without their husband and father. At least us Christians can take solace in the fact that you are a believer. And for that, you are now in a better place.
Go